What's up, Everforward Radio? I'm Angie Lee, podcaster, speaker, creator, and entrepreneur. And in today's episode, we chat all things taking risks, why ready is a lie, and how to deal with judgment. You are going to love this episode. Let's dive in.
3, 2, 1.
I don't know if every once in a while you want me to be like, you know what I'm saying?
You know, I like that because we got to get people something extra to listen to. Got to go to the video to watch.
Yeah. I'm excited. This sounds so good.
Welcome.
Woo! Oh, it's going. Okay,
official.
It's going.
Yeah. I'm in Casa de Lee here in beautiful San Diego.
Drew Canoli / my house.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, so that's a light switch. Is there another switch next to it that just immediately floods out like green foods and super reds and
this is the biohacking palace. We've got green juice in the sink. You turn on the sink and just green juice comes out. You've got chocolate gold. I mean,
so this is Willy Wonka's healthy cousin's house.
Yes,
that's right. Drew Wonka. All right,
he's the best. You got to bring him on.
He was on years ago. Yeah, like I told you, Organifi was this show's first ever sponsor back in 2017. Yeah. And I think late 2017, early 18 had Drew on. Never since then. I just thought we were at the same event back in February. Yeah. And overdue for
oh my gosh, he's the best.
Repeat,
You got to go there and do it. He's such a magical soul.
I'll have to get a wide angle lens though, because I don't know if my camera will pick up his hat. Like I need a lens that's going to like allow his hat to be in frame.
He'll bring all the woo-woo vibes. He's like my best friend. He's so good. He's such a cool leader, such a great example of a visionary who also shows leadership, but was able to just outsource. I mean, his story is incredible how he built Organifi. I mean, I'm just like always amazed by it.
Yeah, it's wild and pretty quickly too.
Oh yeah,
pretty quickly too.
Yeah. It's exciting.
Shout
out to Drew. That was an Organifi plug. Hopefully you get a commission
shout out
for that.
Drew. Use checkout code Angie Lee.
No, use Chase's code. Okay.
Let's go there. That's probably something that you have had to really hone in on. Of course, please introduce yourself, but also, you said leadership and outsourcing, delegation. I'm sure leadership in business and growth, you've had to really kind of sharpen that skill set over the years. Huh?
Yeah. My name is Angie. And Angie Lee. I'm a podcaster, speaker, creator. I have a live event. I own a DTC brand. My book's coming out soon.
Nice. Congrats. I didn't know that part. Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of do a bunch of things in a bunch of different spaces, which has been really cool to kind of, as a multi-passionate person, be able to play in a few different spaces as an entrepreneur. But that's really where I'm at now is delegation and growing team and boundaries. And it's at that level now where I need to build team. And I think ironically, I started all of this in college. I had a blog, didn't know what I was doing at all. I was just, I didn't want to go to chemistry class because school sucks. And I would sit in the back of chemistry and I would literally be writing blogs and responding to my readers. I was like, this is great. No intention to monetize because this is 11 years ago.
I was doing the same thing except texting my friends about happy hour.
Really?
Yeah. So it's like same thing, more or less. Yeah. You're like building your empire. I'm like, when are we getting drunk? Meet me at the gym and then it's PBR happy hour at Little Mexico.
When we get wasted. Yeah. So I can distinctly remember being in the back of my classes, just like creating content and thinking of content. But at the time, being a full-time content creator wasn't a thing. You couldn't tell your friends and your family, oh, hey, I want to go get paid to podcast or write books or
Around
speak.
When was this? What year?
2011, 12, 13.
Yeah, okay.
Right? It wasn't...
Paint a little bit of a timeline here for everybody.
This is, 11 years ago. So I was 19 years old. I just turned 30. So at the time, I didn't have any intention to monetize this. I just loved interacting with my readers. I loved communicating. I loved giving health and wellness tips. And so I just stayed consistent with that. And what happened is women started to reach out and say, how are you monetizing this? How are you actually making this a business? And then fast forward, now I do more marketing coaching. But it's interesting because... basically, what I'm saying with that is this started as just wanting to be a creator. It never started with really wanting to build a huge company or a team or anything like that. So now I'm learning those skills of entrepreneurship when really this happened because I just wanted to create. So it's kind of ironic how it all is shifting.
I think that's a funny funny perspective, a very true one, especially on this side of a profession known as your own boss, entrepreneur, whatever. Because when you go into corporate world, did you ever have a normal job? Did you have a 9 to 5?
A normal job. Yeah. I did for a hot minute there. Okay. I was a dietetics assistant, so I wanted to be a dietitian. That was what I thought I was going to do. Get out, be a dietitian. I love nutrition. Then I found out, they make 30, 40 grand a year and they work 80 hours a week. So I was like, I'm out. So I did that for a hot minute, and then I worked for an ad agency in Chicago and immediately realized I was unemployable. I was like, oh my goodness, these people are so unhappy, most of them. Yeah. And I don't want to be told what to do and where to go. So, and
that's it. I was going to say, that's kind of like that avenue when you go the 9 to 5, which works well for a lot of people. I did it for, so I've only had like 3 jobs. I've been a coffee house guy, barista. I was in the Army or health and wellness kind of stuff. Yeah. And for that version of Chase, I worked for about 4 or 5 years, 9 to 5. I was a clinical health coach, corporate wellness, all this stuff. And it's funny, I'm sure you remember in that onboarding process, the first part of your introduction to a job is the system, is onboarding, is HR, is SOPs. And then you eventually get into actually being able to do the thing. Whereas I'm hearing in your story, it's like, no, I'm doing the thing. And then I'll play catch up later.
Yeah, I think what's become really clear to me is there's different archetypes, right? You have the creator, you've got the teacher, you've got the coach, and our mutual friend Amanda Bucci talks about this.
I was going to say the entrepreneurial archetype.
Yeah, like entrepreneurial archetypes. And once it became really clear to me that I'm not a coach, I'm not a CEO, I'm a creator. I love creating content. I love inspiring. I love sharing. I'm a communicator. And as a byproduct, that's built a business and it's built a brand and a community and all these cool things. But I never wanted to build a huge team. I never wanted to do those things. And so now that's where I'm at as a entrepreneur, is figuring out, okay, what does this look like to stay in my zone of genius, but also keep this a full-time business and job and do all of that. So it's interesting that it's coming full circle. And I'm remembering that the reason I started all of this was just to create, just to share. I never did it because I wanted to have a huge company or brand or anything,
Because we probably don't think we were like, nah, that's not me. Like, it's never going to happen. It's not I'm not going to blow up. Yeah. But you do blow up sometimes.
I think when you really love it, you do. I think you talk to YouTubers all the time. The best YouTubers will tell you, I just wanted to share. I just wanted to share my life. I just thought it was fun. I wanted to communicate with people. I loved building tribe and community. I didn't want to build a huge business. I didn't ever chase the money. It was just fun to create a community. And as a byproduct, now it's been this really successful thing. So I love that when I hear that creators really just did it for the love of the art versus the science of, I need to build a business. So it's kind of like art versus science, right?
Yeah. You eventually, I think one catches up with the other. Yeah. And you kind of have to play both sides eventually. But I want to go back to when you were saying you got that job in Chicago. Yeah. And like, this is miserable. People aren't happy. Like, because I feel like a lot of us in our 9 to 5 jobs, we realize that, but whether we realize it or not, we just accept it. We accept it as, this is what you just have to do. This is the mentality you have to have of like, let me just get to 5 o'clock. Let me get to Friday. Let me go down hallway 2 to take another coffee break to avoid getting back to work. Like, what was your real experience like, and how did you navigate those waters, and how did you get out?
Yeah. I think I'm allergic to being in any discomfort or pain. I'm allergic to it. I'm a 7 on the Enneagram. Have you taken your Enneagram?
I have not, but in LA, people talk about it enough, or Southern California, so I feel like I have without taking it. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Usually a lot of that stuff is kind of cheesy and like, you're a Taurus moon rising. No wonder I'm like, whatever. But the Enneagram is pretty legit. It's like pretty tactical. And my personality type chases joy, freedom, experiences. Everything I do is for the motive of, is this going to be fun and enjoyable? Is this going to be enjoyable? Where, the negative of being a 7 is we do not like to be in any discomfort or pain. So if I'm in a situation where I'm like, this is not fun, I don't like this, I'm out, and I'm out fast.
Interesting.
So I think what happened is I got into these corporate jobs and I immediately noticed that everyone around me was really unhappy. I mean, especially at an ad agency in Chicago, these people are working their butts off and they're not getting paid a lot. Sure. And they're creatives who I think are being suppressed. And I quickly realized, I was on the train ride home one day in Chicago, and I remember thinking like, God, when I'm 30 years old, which is funny because I'm 30 now, I do not want to wake up and hate my life. And I think I wrote that down on a piece of paper. I was like, I do not want to wake up and hate my life. And that's when I decided to go crazy and figure out, how do you make money online? And I started Googling, how do you get brands to pay you? How do you launch a course? How do you basically make money in a digital way? And would stay up till like 2 a.m. when I should have been studying for chemistry, to be a dietitian, and realizing that there's so many ways to make money online.
Then during that time, I'm curious, what were some of the things you were finding, if you can remember?
Yeah. So it's interesting. At the time, I didn't even know what affiliate marketing is or podcasting. So that's recent, right, in the last few years. But in the beginning, I remember I had courses and ebooks, and then my first brand sponsor on my blog was like this granola company, and they gave me $20 to put their little logo on there. And I was like, I've made it. I'm like, this is it. I'm rich.
Hey, monetization is monetization, technically, I guess.
But like, that's why I think it's such a cool story, because I was so grateful for even the $20.
Mama just bought her double latte for a week.
I literally remember calling my mom, and I was like, Mom, I've made it. She's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I got $20 from this brand sponsor, this granola brand. And then this girl in Australia bought my ebook for $60. I just made $100 this week. When you're 19 years old and your friends are all thinking about going to be a lawyer and a doctor, and you figured out how to make $100 on the internet, you do think you're kind of the shit. You're like, guys, I figured out a secret. And I remember thinking to myself, if I can make $100 or $200 online, I can make $200,000 online.
Wow,
let's
really?
go. Oh yeah. Immediately I was like, this is amazing. This is the future of commerce and communication. And this is it. Like, it was almost like I saw that the future was going to be,
you saw the matrix,
heavily social media. Yeah. I was like, holy shit, channeling my inner Gary V. I was like, this is the future. This is how people are going to communicate. And so, I mean, everyone thought I was crazy. I remember my dad being like, what are you doing? Just finished school. Even Mike's amazing. Mike was on this show, and Mike was the smart child.
Lee.
Yeah, Mike's the best.
The champ.
The champ.
He's got his belts literally out here.
He literally has his belt.
He was like, should I put up my belts? I was like, nah, dude.
No, dude, that's awkward.
We'll save that for your episode.
And I remember even him. He's a smart child. He went to Notre Dame, and he was like, oh, you should at least finish, get a degree, right? Come on, you're almost done. And I remember thinking, you know what? I don't ever want to be in a situation where I ever have to show someone a resume. So I'm out. So it was like a Tuesday afternoon. I walked into my counselor's office. I was failing pretty much all of my classes or getting straight C's, like good old C pluses, like just not
classic. Yeah, just getting by.
Just showing up enough to like ask the kid next to me, what are we doing, and pay him $20 to get the answers, but not actually there. And I remember thinking, I'm not here. My blog was making $100 or $200 here and there. So like, I thought I was super cool making $200 a month from this blog and building this audience on Instagram and Facebook. And I remember I walked in and I told her, I'm done. I'm out. And she was like, what are you going to go do? I thought you were going to be a dietitian. You worked so hard to get in this program.
It's a specific program.
Oh yeah. They only accepted 40 girls. Like, what are you going to do? I was like, I think I'm going to become a full-time blogger. She's like, what even, really?
Yeah, she's like, a who-water?
Yeah. She's like, what are you doing? I was like, I don't know, but I think this is going to be a thing. I think people are going to teach health and wellness online and make more than these people who do it in hospitals. She looked at me like I was an alien. She's like, whoa, you need to think about this. I really think that you should go get a safe job. I really think that's not smart. I mean, as your counselor, that's what they're paid to do. They don't know about entrepreneurship. And she said, I'll give you 24 hours to think about it, or at least come back to me in a few days. I grabbed the piece of paper. I signed it right away. I went down the elevator, called my mom, and I was crying, just bawling my eyes out.
Oh, shit.
Because I think ever since the second day of kindergarten, I've always hated school. I always felt like I was in jail. I never felt like I was able to really be me and be Angie, who, I don't fit in a box. And school is a box. It really is. They teach you how to think, what to think, listen to the rules, follow the signs, and, stand in line, and they have like whistles and shit. I mean, it's jail, right? And so I was pissed off since 4 years old.
I've never heard it painted that way. Are we talking about a school or talking about a correction center? Right?
I mean, it's basically the same thing. So
interesting.
I call my mom, and I'll always remember, she's like, Ange, I am not surprised. I've been waiting for this phone call since literally you were 4 years old. Like, I never expected you to finish school.
Wow.
I'm like, what? She's like, I didn't want to say anything, but I'm not surprised. And I don't know what you're going to do. I was $100,000 in debt. Like, I had a lot of school debt.
Wow.
$100,000
Already that far along.
Oh, yeah. I already was 3.5 years into college. I only had like maybe another year to go.
Wow, no shit.
Yeah, because I had to make up some classes because I failed some, so about a year-ish to go, year and a half. And she was like, you know what? Go soar, go do your thing. Like, I just know whatever you do, your greatest gift is that you figure it out. Like, you just figure it out. And I just remember leaving, literally looking around downtown Chicago, like, this is crazy. I'm free. I never have to do homework again or pretend to do homework again. Like, I never felt so free in my life. And I remember I went home, went back to my shitty little apartment, and I was like, Angie, you better figure this out. You better actually figure out how to make money online, because this just got real. You're $100,000 in debt. You're not making a lot. You don't have a college degree. Your friends and family think you're crazy. My boyfriend at the time was like, no one's going to buy shit from you on the internet. No one's going to pay podcasters.
No one's believing in you. No one has any idea what you're talking about.
They like know I'm ambitious. They're like, yeah, you're going to those Tony Robbins conferences. They know that I'm ambitious, but they're kind of like, this is a little weird, right? Like, who's going to pay people to talk online?
Right.
Who's going to pay people while we're literally sitting here to...
You are. Person watching, person listening.
You are. This episode's brought to you by Target. No. And so I remember thinking, you know what? I don't know, but all I know is that I'm going to go figure it out. And I assume you share this same mentality. I think all entrepreneurs do. We're crazy. We're a little bit crazy. And I think those are the people that change the world. And I think if you're an entrepreneur or you're a self-starter or a small business owner, you don't think like everyone else. You're not thinking mediocre. You're not thinking, what is the next step? You're just going. You're just following your gut. And
so true.
That's me. I just keep following the butterflies in my gut and what's the next step. And it didn't make sense. And it took me a while to pay off that $100,000 of debt. I mean, it wasn't like a Dave Ramsey snowball method. It was like, oh shit, what am I going to do? I would like launch these courses and then use some to pay off the interest. And it was messy.
Can I get an extension on that? How about next Friday?
Everyone's like, what was your system? I'm like, there was no fucking system.
That's what I think so many people assume outside looking in. Because look, if you can go, some people might think if you can go a month on your own, then like you got it. Others, like, I've been skeptical. I've been watching you for a couple of years. Yeah. You're not homeless. All right, I believe that you know what you're doing. Look, we very rarely know what we're doing.
Yeah.
We have, at this point, maybe I'm speaking for myself, 3-4 years in, I got little systems, structures, I have little check boxes that I have to get done because I realized that will save me a lot of stress and anxiety. Yeah. We'll probably pay some bills. But the rest of the time, it's just showing up and just committing to where can today take me? What do I want to create? How much money do I want to make? Yeah. Is any of this ringing true for you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I would say for a lot of the cool shit I've done so far-ish, I would say I think people are surprised how easy I've kept it and how much it's not super structured. It's flexible structure in that I have visions, I have goals, I have structure, but only enough to keep it going. But I'm a really big visionary, and that's what me and Drew share. I'm really up here with the ideas, and so I need integrators and people to say, okay, this is how we're actually gonna make this happen. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's almost like I feel like, wait, would that be that'd be my right brain. I feel like my left brain's on fire and my right's like just not there. I'm just like illogical. I'm like the big dreamer. I'm the friend who you could call and you're like, hey, I've got this idea. And I'm like, let's go make millions of dollars. I'm not the friend to call about systems and structure and how to execute, really. I'm like, let's just go.
Or let's crash and burn and figure out why we crash and burn and go on to the next thing.
Yeah. I'm totally ready, fire, aim, 100%, which then I have to clean up some stuff, but I'd rather have done it and clean up than not do it at all.
I love that.
And that's what my book's about. So.
It reminds me of, I was just visiting my brother a couple weeks ago, and he's in a whole new business endeavor with sour candy. Shout out Sour Strips.
Is it healthy sour candy?
Hell no.
Oh.
No, it's like you eat a bag, type 2 diabetic for sure.
Wait, isn't he into fitness?
Yeah. But he's also...
Can he add some protein in there?
Maybe that'll be like version 2.0,
okay.
We'll see. But he is, this is the most true to nature thing I've ever known of Max to do. That kid has been obsessed with candy, sour candy, since he could talk, basically. Like, this has been years in the making. Yeah. And I was visiting with him, and I was in the office and had a phone call, and he's like picking up a really big distribution deal. Yeah. And on the phone, I'm like hearing him, I'm like, oh, dude, like, sound like you know what you're doing. He's like saying numbers, and he's like, oh yeah, we'll send over the spreadsheet, blah, blah, blah. And he hangs up, and he's like, I don't know what the hell happened. I just blacked out. Like, I'm freaking out. I don't know what I agreed to. I was like, what do you mean? Because I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. But it takes that level of towing the line, straddling the fence of being scared shitless, but just knowing that this isn't going to kill me.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense?
I feel like him and I would be good friends. That sounds so funny. That's such an Angie thing to do. Is I have no idea what just happened, but let's go. Like, it's happening. It's in the works. I mean, my first live event, I didn't know how to host live events. I didn't know what an event planner was. I thought you just invite some people, order some balloons. I had no idea. And so then really getting into it, realizing halfway through, oh my gosh, this thing is a huge endeavor to get thousands of people there. Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of work. It's a $250,000 investment. It's a huge team. I mean, I didn't know that. And I think that beautiful naivety of not knowing that saved me, because I think if I would have known what goes into it, I wouldn't have done it. But instead I just jumped and then had to figure it out as I was going. So that's so me, that to be like, you know what, this sounds fun, let's do it. And then I somehow along the way, I'm like, shit, this takes a lot of energy, time, resources. So yeah, this is what Ready as a Lie is about, my book. It's literally about this concept that you just said so beautifully, that you jump, you didn't know what you were doing, but you're going to do it anyway. And after interviewing and being friends with and conversing with so many successful people, whatever you listeners think is successful, right? Happy, successful people, I realized the one thing in common is that every single successful person started before they're ready. That's it. That is the secret. If you're never going to feel ready, right? So his entire book is about the concept of like, whatever your excuse is right now, it doesn't really matter. You're never going to have the time, the money, the resources, the knowledge, feel good enough, not have imposter syndrome, not have judgment, not have comparisonitis. It's never going away. So that's my biggest message to women and men is like, just do it. Shout out to Nike. Like,
they should make that a catchphrase. Somebody should really adopt that phrase. Just do it.
I know, right? I know.
It might stick. I don't know. We'll see.
I know. It's funny. Clay the other day was like, your book is basically Nike. Ready as a Lie means just do it. I'm like, oh my gosh.
It's basically was his book Shoe Dog?
Shoot a hog?
Shoe Dog.
Oh, Shoe Dog. I thought you said shoot a dog.
No, I'm very team dog up in here. That was aggressive.
I was like, shoot a dog. Oh, Shoe Dog.
Shoe Dog.
Yeah.
Phil Knight's
that's his book.
Nike. Yeah.
I just think that's it, you know, and there's this fallacy that successful people have it figured out, or they know something that you don't know. They don't. They just decided to show up even if it's embarrassing, right? I mean, you've embarrassed yourself probably so much on this process.
Oh, like today alone, how many times probably?
Why? What did you do that was embarrassing?
I literally have my camera balanced on top of a tripod, hoping that it doesn't fall and I lose $3,000. Like that's...
Here we go.
And I walk in, I'm like, yeah, I'm a full-time podcaster. That's what I do for a living. She's like, bruh, like your camera is, she's probably just waiting for the duct tape to come out. Like,
God bless America. Yeah, I mean, but that is a pro thing, that it wasn't ideal, but you figured it out anyway. And that is the skill set. You know, women will say like, oh, will my business be successful? And tell me what the secret is. I'm like, how resourceful are you? They're like, why? I'm like, literally answer me that question and I'll know if you're going to be successful. That's it, right? Literally think of all the people you know that are successful. They're just resourceful motherfuckers.
Walk us through that. That's so crucial. I can't tell you how many times now that I'm like, I quickly or eventually I'll figure out I don't know how to do this. This is not my skill set, or I'm just spinning wheels. And then I get resourceful. Yeah. How do you get resourceful? How would you advise someone to not outsource, but get resourceful, like tap into other people, places, things, resources?
Yeah, I believe it's about getting gritty, right? And Marie Forleo has her book called Everything is Figure Outable. And I love that concept. It's really reminding yourself that if you really wanted to figure something out, it is always a Google away or a phone call away. Right? And we live in a time where information is so abundant. We don't have a lack of information right now. We have a lack of action. There's so much information. You could literally Google anything right now and you will get the step-by-step process, the YouTube video, the download, the podcast, the something, you know,
the course,
anything. A lot of it's free, right? Gosh, it's literally free. So I think right now what's going on is people are lacking that ability to actually integrate it and take action. But I do believe that we don't give ourselves enough credit to figure things out. I think we quickly say, well, you know what, that's too complicated. Or, oh, that's not something that I can do, right? And I think resourcefulness comes down to one, realizing you are capable. Everything's figure outable. It's a phone call away or a Google away. And I think you build a muscle too. You build a grit muscle. You realize that you figure something out once, you could do it again.
It's like right here, I think. It's attached to your
the grit muscle.
Upper dorsimus maximus minor.
It's like
this is the insertion of the grit muscle, yeah.
Right, don't you agree?
I went to college.
Well, I didn't really remember, so I
didn't drop out.
I definitely did, gosh. Anatomy class was actually the one that I had to retake.
Oh, okay.
Dude, Anatomy's intense.
Brutal.
Cadavers.
My undergrad was exercise science, and I got my master's in health promotion with concentration nutrition.
Yeah. You've done anatomy, for sure.
I blocked that out of my mind so much.
It's intense.
It's hard.
You got to label, like...
Yeah.
You got to, like, ladies listening, okay? You got to go in there and, like, label this dead dude's junk. But it's not just like, oh, where's the penis? It's like all of the penis is complex. The vagina is complex.
Oh, I'm still figuring mine out.
We're all figuring
penis, not my vagina. But, Just make that clear.
You got to label all this shit, all the veins and arteries, and it's like this dead person in front of you, and you're like sweating, and there's a timer, and it's like, if this artery goes to this vein, and this goes here, and then this person, what's the answer? And you're like, what the fuck?
You're like, I'm just trying to like help people lose weight.
Yeah.
Shit.
I was like, I'm out of this. This is really hard. So yeah, I think that grit is a muscle, and every single time you do something scary and you didn't die, you build a little bit more confidence, right? Confidence comes from action. So every single time you launch something or do something, you remember, oh, I figured that out. I could do the next thing. I think a lot of people are just afraid of failing. But what I really think we should be afraid of is not doing it at all. So
what's one thing you failed at?
Oh God, what do I, I'm like a lot of this shit. Oh,
one that stands out the most. Let me piggyback that. What's one thing you failed at that later became a success because you got resourceful, and how did you get resourceful?
Yeah. It's funny. I feel like I fail a little bit each day, just making stupid mistakes.
Good.
Right? And like I feel like I have little
awesome.
micro failures all the time, just making mistakes in the business and trying something that didn't work. Mike and I had a company called Thrive Meals in Chicago. I dropped out of college, and then this was my next idea. It was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have this health and wellness blog, and then this food distribution company. And I thought I was a genius. And now thinking back, I realized that we didn't want to be in food distribution, but this was before, like, what's the hottest meal delivery company now? Ugh.
Oh, like meal prep companies?
Yeah,
like Icon Meals.
Yeah.
I feel there's so many, like Freshly is one,
There's
or like
so many.
Eat Fresh. There's so many. Yeah.
This is before any of them. And I was like, oh my gosh, Mike, imagine if there was healthy food delivered to people's doorsteps. He's like, oh,
Oh, like Blue Apron. It's popped in my head.
yeah, this is before all that. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is genius. Like, we got to do this. This is so smart. No background in restaurant, no background in food. I'm in debt. I'm like 21, 22. Mike's like 25 or something, and he's like, okay. Mike's the best. He's just like in on the dream, I don't know. I somehow convinced him. I'm a good promoter. I'm like, let's go. So he gets on the bus with me. We do this. Mike's putting his own hard-earned money in from boxing. And it just fails, right? I mean, we try, we make some money, but we don't know what we're doing. We don't know how to build a team. I mean, food is the worst industry ever to be in. It's sorry hard. If you're listening. Like, you got to really love food and restaurant because it's food. It spoils.
My parents
there goes your
were
money.
in the restaurant business growing up.
They were?
My dad was in the Army. When he got out, he then went into the restaurant industry. It's brutal.
Yeah, I don't know why anyone would go into it other than you really love food or your restaurant. Those businesses, it's hard to scale. I mean, you've got food prep and sanitation, and then we had a chef. We rented out this little space, and we just, we didn't know what we were doing, but we started. And I remember being like, Mike one day was like, Angie, we got to stop. Like, this can only go so far. Are you in or are you out? Because we've already lost money. We got to either move forward and do something new or double down and really be in this. And I think we really assessed our risk analysis there. And he was like, let's get out. So that was one that was interesting. And now it's funny that we run a different company together, and it's crazy because I think of Thrive Meals all the time, and I just laugh because I remember thinking like that was the thing, that was gonna be the thing, and I remember thinking, Mike would say, "Don't worry, one day we'll have another idea that actually works out and it'll be better." So it's like funny how it actually worked out. So I think we learned from that. I mean, not only is it normal to lose money and normal to put money into something and try, but even when something failed on paper, quote unquote, you always learn something. I mean, we learned a lot about building team and hiring and trying to scale a food distribution company. What goes into that? And Mike applied all of his finance knowledge from Notre Dame. I was sharing it with my audience. So I was doing like the marketing promotion side. Mike was doing more of the finance CEO side. And even if it fails on paper, it doesn't mean we didn't take those skills and now apply them to the next thing. And I think so many times in life we see things as black or white, right? Like I failed, it was the worst, I wasted time, or it's success, and everything is a lesson. Everything you can apply to the next thing. So
if we're paying attention, if we choose to look at it through that lens, for sure.
Yeah, and I think you see it as you're paying for the tuition of life, what I call this life school, right? So I always joke and say, wow, we lost a lot of money, but that was our life school tuition. Like we paid for that, almost like how you'd pay for a program to learn business.
Right, yeah.
Why do people not assume that the money you lost in trying out a business is technically the tuition? So just see it a different way. Oh, there was our tuition for that. I didn't get a master's, so there's that money that would have gone to a master's in business.
I love that. Yeah, I'm still paying off my master's, and I honestly I have no idea. I don't even know where it is.
Yeah.
The actual degree, couldn't tell you.
What do you mean, where is it?
I don't know.
In an email somewhere?
I don't. I think what happened, because when I was in grad school, towards the end, I moved, and my record address was the old apartment complex.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it went there and then just got lost. Or
wait,
never
what school
forwarded.
is this?
American University in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Yeah.
And that was probably a good chunk of money, right?
Yeah, well, luckily for me, my military benefits covered. I got my undergrad paid for, and then when I went to grad school, I had a little bit of benefits left over from my father.
Yeah.
Through his loss and his benefits to the family. I got about I'd say a quarter, maybe 25-30% of grad school was covered.
Okay.
So it's still tens of thousands of dollars, but then honestly, when I tell other people or they tell me their student loans, I'm like, I'm just going to shut up.
Yeah, you're like, oh, shit. Yeah.
I'm not in a multiple six-figure hole like a lot of people,
And a lot of people are, and it's something to be, I always say to people, your debt doesn't define you. It's literally a number. It doesn't define anything, and a lot of people are in it, and it's normal, right? And I don't think there should be this huge stigma around it or make it weird. It's like, it is what it is, and you wanted to get that master's. You wanted it, right, at the time, and it is what it is. So.
I think I wanted it.
What is it in?
Health promotion with a concentration in nutrition.
Okay, yeah.
So it was very, very pertinent and necessary. I thought at the time, I was climbing the corporate ladder in my clinical health coaching company, which I was. I got promoted. I was running the whole department, up and down the East Coast, managing 8, 9 offices, other people. I was like, oh, this is what I got to do, right?
Yeah.
But then what I felt I had to do quickly came up against their value of me. And so one it was not a corollary scale,
Yeah.
And so then for me, it was a quick, pretty harsh reinterpretation of, well, do I want to keep working for an organization? Do I want to keep working in the 9-to-5 grind? If no matter what I do, seems to only be met with X amount of value, X amount of expectations, overworked, undervalued, all this stuff. Or, and this was around this time, so our stories actually kind of run parallel.
Yeah.
It was around 2012, 2013, really 13-ish when my brother picked up a camera and started filming workouts. And he would get couple hundred views or Instagram would be like, yo, I hit 1,500, which in 2013 was
huge
insane.
Deal, yeah.
And then, we began to meet other people doing the same. And that was around the time I felt I was torn because I was I'm growing. I'm doing what I'm supposed to, right? Yeah. I'm becoming a good citizen again. Yeah. I'm going to school, climbing the corporate ladder. But then all these other people are they may be suffering a little bit more in terms of the hours and the time and losing money, but they love 100% what they do.
Yeah.
And that always just kind of I kept kind of I want more of that. I want more of that. I want more of that. And then I made a 6-month plan to get out of my job.
I love it.
Gave my notice about a month later, got out much sooner.
Wow.
And so it was a grind for me. And I can't stress enough, everything you're saying. Yes. And which is always kind of reassuring when I talk to somebody who has gone from, I don't know, I just got this thing inside of me that I need to get out. I got this side hustle that I really just want to roll the dice and see, can I make it a thing?
Yeah.
And so I think we're all going to be okay.
Yeah. And I really think that it's not even think. I mean, happiness is success, right? So everyone's trying to chase money, but if you're happy, you've made it. That's it, right? I mean, that's all you're going to care about on your last day. Yeah. And so even now being 30 years old and thinking of these big adult things now, starting a family and these things I care about more than work and want to be more balanced now. Cause the last 8-9 years were just me head down building this brand. I'm realizing it's not about, I don't need to make millions and millions of dollars to be happy. I need to just be happy and whatever that looks like for me. And for me, that's freedom, right? To be able to wake up, do what I want, create what I want. So it's interesting. In the beginning of entrepreneurship, you're chasing money. And then quickly, years and years down, once you have that, then you're like, ooh, what am I chasing now? Oh, fulfillment. So I think that conversation around fulfillment's huge, right? Chase happiness. There's people who have a job that they make $50,000, $60,000 a year, but they love it. Good for them. And they're happy and they live in a small town and they live a simple life and it pays their bills and they don't have stress.
That was me way back in the beginning.
Yeah. And if you genuinely are happy, I think they are also winning. In the past, I think I was a little ignorant to that and would think all right, well, if someone's not an entrepreneur and crushing it, they're not successful. It's dude, not everybody wants that. And that's okay. So now my biggest message is find out what is going to make you happy. If that is a side hustle, if that is entrepreneurship or network marketing or being a podcaster, whatever creative small business you want to start, that's great. But if not, keep being a nurse. Who cares? Not everybody is supposed to do this crazy.
My wife's a nurse.
Yeah. Which I'm some days I'm man, that'd be so nice. Just to go see people in person and help them and have a steady paycheck. I think all entrepreneurs also fantasize every, for 20 minutes every year. What would that actually be like? Man, that'd be nice. Oh shit, I'm crazy. I can't listen to someone else. But if she, right? I don't know. Sometimes I literally think it's not like I would never want her to think like, oh, I have something better than her. Like I don't. Like if she's happy and I'm happy, we have totally two different jobs.
100%.
It's about being happy.
Yeah.
Right. Like she probably thinks you're crazy, right? A little bit.
Oh yeah, all the time. Yeah. I terrify her. Now when like,
how does that work with your relationship with stability feeling? Like
it's pretty good now. Like years later, she's very much the like, what's the plan, the numbers, the structure, like all this stuff, and I'm just like, I don't fucking know. Like
you're like, I don't know.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
She's like, that's not gonna work for me. I was like, I always do figure it out. Now, literally like years later, she has finally begun to trust that when I tell her. She has a like, you know, hey, we got this like big bill coming up, or we got a bunch of travel, the holidays, like, you know, we're one income house. Yeah. And she's like, hey, you good? I was like, I'll figure it out. And now she's finally like, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Well, she knows what she signed up for. Yeah. You got to know what you signed up for, you know? And I think that's everybody and me and my partner. It's like figuring out being with an entrepreneur is not, it's not easy, and he is too. So that's interesting. That dance is interesting. Like, oh, crazy and crazy. Well, this is going to be great. Or at least she's at least more of like, you know, like certainty, and you're more, you love uncertainty.
Yeah.
So it's like,
somehow we figure it out. Yeah. So there we go again. I want to go back a little bit if we could, because I know a lot of people in my audience, and I can definitely do a laundry list of my own, have experienced or are or even will. You will come against those people who seemingly don't believe in you. Yeah. Friends, family members, coworkers. And I even know a lot of people, you know, it's a cultural thing as well. It's just like, you're not going to be a doctor. You're not going to get a 9-to-5. You're not going to whatever. It's almost like a shame. Yeah. Like you've brought dishonor to the family kind of thing. How did you deal with that? How did you deal with people not believing in you or telling you to like stop chasing your dreams?
Yeah, it's interesting. Before I give you the froofy sweet answer, I heard Kanye West talk about this on David Letterman the other day. And he said something like, it's just an alternative source of fuel. Like, it's almost like your car. Like, it's just different gas. So when someone tells you can't do something, you actually use it as fuel. It's just alternative fuel. Like, there's happy fuel, there's good fuel. Like, you can do this, I believe in you. And then there's like, you suck, you're not going to make it. And you're like, all right, that's another reason to go do it. Like, proving them wrong fuel.
I like that a lot.
It's alternative fuel. Yeah. I mean, let's be honest, Kanye West is using a lot of alternative fuel. A lot of people don't like him. I mean, I like him, but a lot of people don't like him. So I think you've got to take it and say, you know what, I'm going to prove them wrong. And I don't mean that in a malicious way. I think you could still come from a place of love and a place of, hey, I respect you. I get it, Uncle Tom or Uncle Steve or whoever. I know this is Karen, literally Karen.
Shut up, Becky.
You know, it's like, I think you can still have respect for that family member, that friend, that close person in your life, because usually it's the ones closest to us that don't want us to do it, and say, I get it. I honor you, and I realize that you want me to be safe. I mean, I have women who tell me this is their husband, who's like, I don't want you to do that. Just stay at home, do what you've been doing. I don't want you to start the side hustle or try the thing. And then they feel like they're suppressed, and that's really sad because everyone deserves to be with someone who supports their dreams. But I get it. As a man, men love certainty and the plan. They just want their wife safe. So they don't want her to go do that thing, not because they don't believe in her, but because let's not ruin this. This feels safe right now. Yeah. We're all just chasing safety and certainty. I mean, we're humans, right? And so what I tell women is to have that conversation, especially with a man, and say, hey, listen, I understand you just want us to be safe. Let's talk about ways where we could still feel that sense of safety. I'll still keep maybe a part-time job while I'm bringing on this side hustle. So sometimes it is meeting people in the middle. Sometimes it's burning the boats and saying, F it, alternative fuel source, hashtag Kanye West, right? Like, you're that personality type. I think it's having the self-awareness around, are you F you, I'm going to do it anyway? Are you okay? I do need to be a little bit logical and still keep part-time jobs. I mean, I worked part-time jobs while I was building this too. I mean, a lot of people think it's just overnight, and it wasn't. It was a lot of random jobs here and there, personal training, things in the wellness space just to make this work.
Sure.
But I did it just enough to pay the bills, like literally my rent and my food. And then anything extra went into the blog, the website, all that stuff. And then the next thing is, I think it's actually selfish sometimes to allow them to dictate your life, because if you do believe you have this message, this program, this product, this art, this company, this idea, this invention, whatever it is, it's selfish to not share it with the world just because 8 of your cousins and your dad and your husband think you're crazy. I mean, it's almost like, who are you choosing to dictate your life? And so I remember my boyfriend at the time saying that, like, Ange, that's super cute. I think you're great and all, but I don't really think people are going to pay for podcasts one day. I don't think they're going to do that. Like, people are watching TV. And now I'm like, nobody's watching TV. Everyone's on their friggin' phone, right? Yeah. But back then I couldn't say that. It was like 2011, 2012. He didn't believe it. So it's interesting because I remember thinking that, I just remember, this sounds so cheesy, but a lot of the work I do, I feel like it's almost a calling. And so for me, it feels like I had to do it. Not that it almost feels like it's not a choice. Right, I don't know if you feel that. So no. I think a lot of deep creatives feel like I was sent here to do this, whatever you believe in, God, universe, source, Gus. I think I was. And so I remember telling him one day, like, I have to do this. Yeah. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I don't really feel like I have a choice here. He was like, what are you talking about? He wasn't, into spirituality or woo-woo or anything. So he's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, I just feel like there are women out there who need me, and I have this gift to be able to communicate to them. And if I don't go do this, I literally will die inside. Mm-hmm. And so if you stop me from that, you're killing a part of me. And if you love me, you will allow me to express that. Mm-hmm. And I saw them. I saw these women, like, at my events. I saw all of these people who are now in my community. Like, I thought about them. I felt them almost, which is so crazy and weird. It's almost like people who feel their kids before they have them. Like, I just felt the love and the community. And so I remember thinking, I got to show up for these women. And now waking up every day to these women who are in my community saying, hey, this episode changed my day, changed my life, or you inspired me to do the thing. Like, I don't know who I'd be if I wasn't able to do that. And if I would have listened to some guy I was dating who, I mean, great guy, but I wish him the best. But you got to choose, right?
Yeah.
And in that situation, I did. So again, it's like having the difficult conversations and then getting that person on your team. Or if you are in a relationship where that's definitely never going to be a support system, then maybe it's not the person for you. So it's hard. I think it's difficult, right? This is what everybody's coming up against, is your own inner critic or external critics. But I have found that anyone who's criticizing you isn't in the arena as well, right?
Right.
It's like, I've never had another podcaster or another business owner who was successful, or any of my colleagues in this space. They've never trolled me, or they've never said shit. It's always people in the stands who have cheap seats being like, oh, this sucks, or don't do this, or blah, blah, blah. It's never been another woman doing what I do. Cause I'm like, dude, if you were doing what I'm doing, you would know how hard this is.
Do you think the person standing, the guy in the stands behind the first baseman, you think the first baseman's actually going to listen? Like, you should do blah, blah, blah. You should do no, he's like, yo, I'm down here. You're over there. Like I can tell you how to eat your hot dog faster, but like, shut the hell up, Yeah.
It's interesting how much I've allowed people in the cheap seats, we'll call them, because they're very high up, right? Because they don't ever have an expensive seat. But but
they have the biggest opinions and the loudest ones.
Yeah, it's interesting. And what they want me to do with my life or what to say. And this year I've dealt with a lot of criticism online. I mean, it's been a crazy year, and just people being just crazy trolls. And I just think that I've really had to learn whose opinions do I want to hear from. And if I'm not taking advice from someone, I'm probably not going to take your opinion, right? I mean, if Tony Robbins was like, Angie, you suck, maybe then, but if it's not him, I don't really care, So, and I'm conscious of that too. Like, when I celebrate or support other women and men doing their thing, like, I will never shame another creator. I'll never shame another entrepreneurs putting themselves out there, because it's hard, and it takes courage. And so just whoever, is listening, remember that the feedback you're getting, if it's from your Uncle Ted or someone on Instagram, one, they probably don't know you. And if they do, your Uncle Ted's probably just pissed that he didn't have the courage to go do what you're doing.
100%.
Right? Like, Uncle Ted's not podcasting. He's just sitting at home wishing he would have.
Most of the time they see you acting on a dream. Yeah. And it reminds them of the dream that they just let die.
That's some trauma work too that Uncle Ted needs to do, not you. So a lot of this just comes back to
Ted, please reach out, man. I got your back. You talk to Angie, talk to me.
Ted.
Yeah.
We love you. Yeah,
love you, Ted.
I hear the craziest shit. I mean, after doing this for so many years now and having such an awesome female community who's very responsive with me. I mean, I hear like my aunt told me this is stupid, and she laughed at me in front of my family. My husband's even kind of laughing. Like, these are people they live with or see on a daily basis. I'm like, dang, that is so hard. Or girls saying, hey, you inspired me to break up with my boyfriend, and now I'm with this amazing guy who does get it. Because I think especially for women, I mean, maybe this is hard for men, but ambitious women, it's hard to find someone who gets that and also wants to complement that and be part of that journey.
I can see that, yeah.
So that was always my biggest thing, is like, who's gonna like understand this crazy? But like, they're also crazy, but it's a weird dance, because I couldn't be with someone who criticized it, because you just can't. Like, if your wife didn't believe in it, you couldn't do it, because it's such a big part of who you are. It's not just your job.
And here's what I'll say to that, and well, at least
relationship episode now,
which we actually do now once a month.
What?
Her and I hop on. We do
a
relationship health episode, a relationship with yourself, with your significant other, families.
That's cute.
Yeah. So she's gone from like, I don't know about that, to a part of it.
Oh, that's cool.
We actually even launched her own show. She has a podcast, all for nursing. Yeah.
That's such a good niche.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Her name's May, and the show's called May's Anatomy.
Stop.
She said it. I was like, do it. I'm buying the domain right now. Get the social. It was perfect.
Wait.
Yeah. She's been doing it for like 11 months now.
I wish my name was May. I could launch that. Wait, I don't know shit about anatomy. Never, I failed it. Never
We just
mind.
talked about.
That's weird.
And so that was day one of cadavers, and turns out it wasn't a penis. All right, so that's why I rocked out. Yeah.
It is such a weird experience when you walk in.
Yeah.
You think it's just like brain, arm, leg, penis. Like, no, you got to label like all the arteries and veins. And our body is so cool. It's so complex.
It's insane.
But it's also so simple. It really makes you appreciate being healthy.
Yeah.
Like, I think everybody should walk into a cadaver lab once in their life and be like, I'm going to go live my fucking life. That's a dead person.
Look at a dead person's, alcoholic liver or inflammation in the brain or just what diabetes will do. I mean, just all of this stuff like internally that is there for years. I mean, that's a whole other show for sure.
But yeah, that's so cool that she's starting to show now.
It's wild. Which I was going to say, I
think
if I can't offer any kind of, to the listener, the watcher, well, all right, well, how do we do that then? Let's say, like, I love my partner. I love my family. I don't want to leave them. I don't want to, like, put a line in the sand.
Yeah.
I can speak from experience and say that the best way to maybe not even fully get them on board, but to just shut them up a little bit is to, like, give them a little bit of proof. And not to say to do it for anyone else other than you, but just prove them wrong.
Yeah.
Get a win. Get that $20 on your blog.
Yeah.
Like that's $20 more than you had before. Like just get those wins for you. I should recap that and say, reword it and say, get the wins for you. Again, the alternative fuel to get the wins for you, because when you do start stacking those wins, their perspective will change.
Yeah, and if someone really loves you, then they should want what's best for you. I mean, love is unconditional, right? So if they really loved you, friend, aunt, sister, husband, wife, whatever, then they would want you happy. They would want you safe. So having that open, courageous conversation of like, hey, I get this is coming from love. Sometimes when we lash out at people, it's because we love them so much we don't want to see them get hurt. Like, that's what we want. So if you have that conversation, if someone loves you, you guys, they should be open to sitting down and just having that conversation of, I love you, I hear you, I respect you, but this is also my life. I do need to go live this out. You don't have to be my biggest cheerleader, but can you at least not, mock me when I'm doing this? And
can you not boo me from the stands?
Yeah, at least not boo me. Yeah. And then if they're a dick about it, dude, that person that's not love then. And that's maybe not a cousin you want to talk to. I mean, Ted might just suck, like
Ted doesn't get invited back to a family reunion.
Yeah. I mean, Ted's not going to be there at your TED Talk one day. So I just think like it's an alternative fuel, right? Like look at, and start studying. I mean, Kanye is kind of an extreme example, but look up, watch Taylor Swift's documentary. Like, I loved that. Just
Demi Lovato's documentary on YouTube.
I haven't seen that.
She had one come out a couple years ago. She just had a new one come out.
Wow.
You got to watch her documentary.
People making fun of her, right?
Oh, my God.
So mean to her.
She is one of the most badass women, just badass human beings I think I've ever watched. She's a fighter.
Wow. Through adversity. And,
Yeah. Substance abuse, growing up as like a childhood star and weight gain, weight loss, and fame, popularity, and
too fat, too skinny. It's like, what are these girls supposed to do? It's a lot, and they grew up under the spotlight in front of a camera all day. That sounds like it sucks, right? So I think it's interesting. In the beginning, it was more of my intimate circle and war market, like people, friends, family that would say, oh, I don't know, it's kind of silly, and good luck to that, but didn't really mean it. But now it's strangers. I'm at that level of, I don't know you. Oh my goodness, woman from Arkansas, Karen, who's very upset, doesn't
flexing
like this.
Flexing those web muscles.
So I'm dealing with that right now and learning how to deal with that. And it's painful and it's weird and it's hard because, again, going back to the very first blog post 11 years ago, that's not really what I signed up for. I just thought I was hosting a blog. I didn't know this would blow up and grow and become all these things. And now with excellence comes judgment. You're choosing a life of influence. You're choosing a life of criticism. You just are. And so I'm getting that, slapped in the face this last few years. I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. That's crazy. I didn't know that came with it, Yeah. But it's like, what famous person or a celebrity or anybody would tell you they didn't deal with some people saying this sucks?
Yeah.
There isn't one.
It's because of them. Because of them. They keep showing up.
It's crazy. So, man, just know you guys are not alone, whether it is someone or it was some troll on the internet. Like, it doesn't just go away. It doesn't mean anything about you. You know who you are. You're enough. And use it as alternative fuel at the gas station. You get to pick the three. There's positive kind of in the middle, and then there's negative. You get to
take it, play around with it.
It works,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I feel like men are better at that. Like, oh, well, fuck you, fuel.
Yeah.
Women are more like, tell me I'm amazing, fuel.
I literally don't care. I think over the years, I've definitely, I wouldn't even say I have like tough skin, but because I do have such clarity in my purpose, and like you're saying earlier, I can't do anything else.
Have you gotten troll feedback, negative reviews?
Oh yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I mean, people like just, especially like we'll stick with in terms of content. Like I used to be a YouTuber, we'll say, vlog, fitness stuff, all that stuff. And then when I literally stopped doing that and only do like stuff like this, people were like literally paragraphs of like, oh my God, you should just like fucking close your channel. Like, look at all your pathetic views. Like, you should just go back to what we want. I was like, well, it's not what I want, you know? And so
these are like random Steves.
Oh, exactly.
In a basement.
And Ted's nephews.
At
probably.
Their mom.
Yeah.
Wow, that's hurt. That does hurt.
It's,
for a second.
It's few and far between a little bit, but just, you know, the ones that do pop up are pretty intense. But I mean, you just keep showing up out of happiness and fulfillment, and just keep committing every day to the fuel choice of, you know, the one that you picked out or the one that's just being thrown at you. Like,
awesome.
you can do a lot with that.
Yeah, I respect people who've gotten feedback and still, or not feedback. I mean, feedback's usually positive. This is more just people being assholes, but I respect them. People who get criticism and still show up, you know? Like, I think your brother's gotten shit, right? But he still shows up.
All the time.
And I think he seems like such a nice, cool guy. So I'm like, what are these people talking about? But it's like he still shows up. He doesn't give a
I literally don't care. He doesn't care. I don't care. It's just what you say is not going to affect me at all because, like, my purpose is greater than you. My purpose is greater than your negativity. And plus, knowing what I know now through my own personal work and just being in kind of the presence of people like you. And I quickly realized, recently, this is like 1 to 2 years, have realized they're not actually pissed at me.
They're pissed at themselves.
They're pissed at themselves. And like, now every time I'm just like, all right, I hear your childhood trauma. Like, not in sometimes a condescending way, but it's so apparent to me now. Like, you're lashing out not because of what I'm doing, but because of what you're not doing.
Yeah, 100%.
Not because of what I have, but because of what you don't have. And then if you can realize everything's obtainable, you can work through your own shit just the way that I did, then, you know, like, I'll keep a space for you, man. Like,
I mean, I see YouTube comments for vloggers. I'm like, Jesus, this 18-year-old, it's like, Charlie 111, go kill yourself. It's like, Charlie,
God.
what's your deal, bro?
Relax. Take a CBD
Charlie.
gummy.
Right?
I do, yeah.
I know. I just want to be like, here's some soul CBD. It's like, geez, people are crazy. But it's the internet, so it's free.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's not going to say that to you in person.
That's what I just cannot believe the most.
Yeah.
People get irate over something that's free.
I know.
Like, bro, it's not like, you know, I'm charging you $50 a month membership and you hate the content and you're like, then we got a customer service issue. Yeah. Like, just turn it off.
Yeah, you're not a customer, actually.
Unsubscribe.
You're a
go away. Yeah, seriously.
It's free. I know, it is funny. It's like free content, literally free.
Well, speaking of content, new content for you, we've been talking about your new book.
Yeah.
And to kind of get towards the end here, I want to just make sure we definitely highlight on it. Yeah. I'm sure a lot of what we've been talking about people can expect in the book.
Yeah. Mine is Uncle Ted.
Yeah.
Shit.
It's dedicated
the penis
to Ted.
anatomy shit. But yeah.
Walk us through
this
more
was
of the
like
book.
all over the place. I love it. It's such a real conversation. But
why the book and what's in it? What can people expect?
Yeah, I always knew it was kind of the next thing for my brand. I want something tangible that women, and it's for men too, can have on their countertop and you know, feel like they can reference every day. And I feel like content on the internet only goes so far and podcasts only go so far. So I've had this vision for Ready as Alive for 2-3 years now, but never really acted on it, ironically. Was busy with other stuff, and then now I've really feel really clear on it. So it should be coming out early 2021, which we're really excited about. And essentially, you guys can probably assume what Ready as Alive is about, but it's about this entire concept of perfectionism and why, you know, the cost of being perfect. Like, what does that actually look like? And I believe that a lot of creatives, the reason they're not taking action is because of perfectionism. And so the book breaks down judgment, fear of judgment, which we just covered, imposter syndrome, which is essentially, who am I to do this? Perfectionism, which is obviously, you know, these people who needed to be A+ students in order to take action. And then comparisonitis, which is what we do all day on the internet. Like, oh, I need their life, I need their business, I need what they have. And that puts us into paralysis. So it breaks down all the different paralyses around why you wouldn't take action. So amazing. Yeah, I'm really excited. Yeah.
Cool. It's got to be, I'm sure, like culmination of everything you've done to date.
Yeah, it's mini micro stories and it's very funny. It's hilarious. So it's motivation meets comedy, which is one of my biggest passions is edutainment.
I love it.
And so really owning that space as a woman, because I don't feel like a woman's really doing it yet. There's a lot of men trying to do it. But I want a book that not only are women like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go take action today, whether that's a courageous phone call or it's starting the business. It could be small, it could be big, but also to laugh her ass off. Because I think a lot of these personal development books are just so serious now. They're so serious, and I just think humor heals and humor is so necessary. And a huge part of why I have the brand I have is because it's fun. I have a good time. My audience knows I'm freaking weird. And I believe that business has to be fun.
You're a real human being.
Yeah. It's got to be fun to stay in it, right?
Yeah.
What's fun is sustainable.
Absolutely.
And so it's going to be funny and weird and quirky. And we're finishing the manuscript now. And it's a whole project. It's a whole thing.
Well, congratulations.
So,
I've had a document saved in my laptop for like 2 years of my book.
Yes.
Like chapters and titles and little sections.
Do you have a title or no?
Ever Forward.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little play on words, I guess. I have a few different directions in my mind. Actually, I have like 3 or 4 books in my head, but the first one is really kind of just really giving the backstory and the meaning behind like why I've been doing all of this.
Yeah.
I was sharing with you earlier, the loss of my father and just how 2 words can radically not just influence but define a purpose, my purpose, my family's purpose, and just the backstory of where that comes from. Not only was it just him, but he actually picked it up from his time in the military. It was a creed, a saying that dates back to the American Revolution. So I want to dive into the history. I want to really just, what does it mean to latch on to a purpose other than your own, and like what you can do with it. So I'm kind of like,
what did Ever Forward mean to him?
Ever Forward, this is a son talking about his father. So I think Ever Forward was something that my dad was able to tell his children to like keep us in line. It was, it was like we also grew up very religious, very Southern Baptist. And so I think it was also a way to kind of, I won't say counter that, but just, hey, here's what we're learning and like in the church and doing all this stuff. And if for whatever reason, maybe that's not enough for you as just a human being, here's what you can latch on to. It's let the obstacle before you become the way. It's like, even if you fall on your ass, and literally so many times in school, especially, I was a horrible student. I would get by. But it was just like, even if you fail, Chase, like if you can look me in the eye and tell me that you never stopped pursuing your potential for this subject, for this exam, for whatever, like then like I believe in you and that's enough. Then what did you learn from it and how can you move on? And then it just turns out school. Forward, then it turns out
it's
the
like
school,
forever forward almost.
Keep moving forward. Keep moving forward no matter what. No
take the next step. Keep going.
It's been my license plate for like 16 years. I've got it tattooed on my arm.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Yeah. But also it was what kept me from my purpose for a long time. When my dad passed, I was like 19 and I was barely 2 years in the Army of a 6-year contract. And it radically shifted my world in a bad way. Like it hit me hard. Like my mental health plummeted, like even to the point of wanting to like go to war and not come back. And that's my whole story.
You've shared it on the show, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Go listen to that, guys.
Yeah. But so I ran away from that for like 10 years. And then just through severe anxiety and panic attacks, just like I had to finally face that. And it turns out the thing I was running from for 10, 12 years was now what I embody every day.
Oh, wow. That's
crazy.
That's
Ever Forward
that's
Radio.
So cool.
Yeah, my brother runs Ever Forward Apparel. So we've all been able to kind of like pull a meaning out of it and then apply purpose to it.
I love
with
that.
Our own kind of way.
I'm sure he would love that, and he's still here, so he loves it, right?
Shout out, Pops.
Yeah, he's there. That's so beautiful, right?
Thank you.
Like doing business to do business. Doing business just to do business is one thing, but to do it to have a mission and a meaning is that's like next level.
Yeah.
Right? That's amazing.
And that's actually my final question I ask everybody.
What does Ever Forward mean to me?
How do you live a life ever forward?
I'm like, ooh, now I'm like obsessed with this term. So I feel like Ever Forward and Ready as a Lie would be like cousins, It's like very like keep moving forward meets like just you're never going to feel ready, just keep going. So I like it. They like complement each other really well. To me it means showing up even when 2 people are watching or 3 people are clapping. It means showing up even when you're embarrassed and your first version sucks. It means showing up when there's 2 people at the event or 2 people bought your product. I think it's showing up for the unsexy beginnings because then that eventually does pay off. But it's having the courage to show up even when it isn't glamorous yet, you know? And I think those are the people that really succeed. So I love this message around just keep showing up, because that's success, right? Success is the compound effect. It's showing up a little bit each day. It's not like this one moment where you like make this huge decision and then you make millions of dollars.
Success is so monotonous.
It's so monotonous. It's just showing up every day. Building a brand has been the most monotonous thing I've ever done in my life. Like, it's monotonous, but it was showing up every day for them, nurturing them. Like, they're like kids, right? You nurture. And then you wake up, you're like, whoa, I have this audience. Holy crap. And you have to love it then, because if not, how are you going to stay consistent?
Yeah.
So that's ready as a light, ever forward. They're cousins.
Maybe I'll get that on my other arm over here.
Ready as a light. Yes. I love it. That was so awesome.
Angie, thank you so much for coming on the show. Of course, we're going to have the book and the show and all your stuff linked down in the show notes and in the video for everybody. But
what's up?
Where can they go right now to connect with you?
Yeah, check me out on Instagram at Angie Lee Show, Angie Lee Show on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, all those places, and then angielee.com.
Amazing.
Awesome.
All right, cool.
You're the best.
Thank you.
Woo!
All right, thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.
Well, what'd you think? If you enjoyed this content, it would truly mean the world to me if you just simply shared it out with one person. And if you really, really liked it, well, you know what to do. Just go ahead and hit follow, subscribe. I'll make sure you never miss another episode, another great piece of content that helps you live a life ever forward.